I am the shadow teacher, and I'm making this video in the afternoon. Rarely do I make videos in the afternoon, though it will be posted in the morning at 8 o'clock sharp, the shadow teacher time, on some day during the week. But had an interesting lesson show up in my life while I was working out at the gym today. Now, when I work out, I usually have that as my time to listen to podcasts. In the past, sometimes it would be audiobooks. But just having an interesting piece of information, interesting content going on in the background while I'm working out. So feeding my brain, feeding my curiosity. And I'm a lover of podcasts. I'm a lover of learning. But I got to where I'd subscribed to lots of podcasts and had also downloaded individual episodes of podcasts that I hadn't subscribed to. And my iPod was on the fritz. I still use an iPod. I actually don't like to listen to stuff on my phone. I like to still have things separate. I'm kind of quirky like that. And so my iPod was letting me know that I was asking too much. And I downloaded far too many podcasts than I would ever realistically have the time to digest. And digest, again, is a magic word, as if we see lots of delicious food that we want to taste, that we want to indulge our palate with, if we eat all of it, then we're going to feel like shit. You are going to feel weighed down, heavy. Your cognition is going to drop. Your energy is going to drop. You can't possibly process all of that food if you eat everything that looks delicious to you. If you're at this buffet, an all-you-can-eat buffet, it's a better analogy. And again, podcasting and sort of this digital world is like that, where we have so much information, long-form information available. And one of my intentions this year has been trying to make my time and my focus count, and really bringing the right things into my attention that I need to mull over and process, and then be laser focused in what I do with the information. And another issue as well is books. I see lots of things I'm curious about that I want to read up on, and I bought more books than I can possibly read in a realistic time frame. And one of my other goals is to declutter my house. And then what I found myself doing is buying so many books. I'd get something out, but then the number of books that come in far outweigh that. So I kind of got into this behavior of downloading more podcasts than I can digest and buying more books than I could possibly read. And again, my tech taught me a great lesson, that it's good to be curious, but we need to be very intentional with how we take in information, what we take in, and allow adequate time to process. And what I find, again, when I'm more taking in something intentionally, when I look at something and I'm saying, I really want to listen to this perspective. I really want to take this in because there's something of value here, and there is something worth processing. There's something worth integrating, as opposed to simply just having background noise, as opposed to simply having something to input into the mind, to keep the mind busy, to always input something. There has to be that processing time for any kind of information to be useful. And when we are intentional, again, instead of just loading ourselves up with information, loading ourselves up with stuff, again, if we keep doing that, eventually there's going to be a time where our own CPU is going to push back. It's just going to be too confused. It's going to go into a freeze mode where it's not able to engage in the world productively, constructively. And this is something I see with a lot of people. We hear the term information overload. And people are addicted to inputting information, but are very poor at processing information and are very poor at being intentional of what they want to take in. They're just taking in everything. And at some point, like I said, at some point there's going to be something that teaches you this lesson. I was lucky. Luckily, like my tech, something external to me taught me this lesson, echoed this lesson back to me, and it wasn't my biological technology, which is not as easy to fix. But that is the message I have. That's the message I have for myself. Being very intentional, being curious, but at the same time, weeding out what are we going to put in, and are we going to allow ourselves adequate time to process and engage with that information so it can actually be useful to us. And another little lesson too is, since I didn't have my podcast, I had lots of quiet time, and I've been neglecting quiet as of late, having all these books, having, again, this mountain of information that I've been weeding through. I neglected my time for quiet, and it was really uncomfortable. I'm someone, again, who really preached and advocated for quiet, and I'd gotten into a state where I wasn't really practicing that. I was just having just constant consumption of information and processing the information, but not allowing just time to sit and be with nothing, other than when I'm out in the forest again. But on the day-to-day basis for me has been more cluttered than I like. And as a reminder that I need to set some time and be intentional about silence, about having no input, sitting with nothing, being okay with nothing. Knowing that when I'm intentional with my information of what I choose to bring in, allowing adequate time to process, that it's going to be enough. More is not needed. So that being said, I'm going to end this transmission. Be well, my friends. Be strong. And I will see you on the other side.